the whole deal here. Just like I keep telling y'all, this revenue sharing is simply because of the old players. The old players, for whatever reason, they want to make sure that they be able to get some type of revenue sharing, but I just don't think the owners are going.
Step inside the ruthless, blood sport arena of professional athletics. There is a hidden food chain here, a power dynamic the average person never spots. Your average fan thinks the stars call the shots, while the press loves to pretend the unions hold all the cards. But behind closed doors, in those icy billion-dollar boardrooms, the real puppet masters are the super agents operating in the dark. These are the ghosts building the financial skyline, and they do not give a damn about public image. They ignore the social media noise, and they definitely do not subscribe to the fairy tale of union brotherhood. They operate on a single, cold, hard calculation, getting ink on paper so that massive commission checks hit their direct deposits. For 16 months, the WNBA power brokers sat on their hands, watching the Players Association wage an ideological crusade against the owners. But as the league hurdles toward a season-killing deadline, the agents have officially run out of patience. They have decided the union bosses are running on feelings instead of facts, and playing Russian roulette with everybody's paychecks. So, in a move that changes the game forever, the biggest sharks in the water just kicked down the door, shoved the union reps into the hallway, and staged a hostile corporate takeover of the talks. Welcome to the fallout. We are about to tear apart this brutal power play, the scary math behind the league's offers, and why the Caitlin Clark economy is getting hijacked by the suits. To grasp the sheer force of this shockwave, you have to look at the hit list of who just declared war on the union. Usually, you might see a couple of mid-tier agents leaking gossip to save a benchwarmer's job. But what went down late Thursday was not some minor grievance. It was a calculated tactical nuke dropped by the absolute apex predators of the industry. Listen to who exactly just stepped into the ring and why these specific names effectively stripped the union of every ounce of leverage they had left. Whoa. If this holds up, we are talking about the heavy hitters. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Bueckers. Their camps all sent notices to the WNBPA. The letter was not just signed by anyone. It came from the power players representing Clark, Reese, Bueckers, and Aja Wilson. Let that reality freeze the blood of the union executives for a second. This is not a random group of unhappy campers. This is the Mount Rushmore of the game. These four women are the money, the culture, and the entire future of the sport. When the reps for the four most valuable assets in league history go around the union to demand a seat at the table, the message is loud and undeniable. They are saying, "You do not speak for the stars anymore. You fumbled the Caitlin Clark bag. You drove us to the edge of a cliff, and we are grabbing the wheel before you total this billion-dollar car." But why break cover now? Why would these shadow operators risk the bad PR of publicly neutering the union? The answer is buried in the convoluted, smoke and mirrors accounting that the owners and union are currently fighting over. The media paints this as a simple squabble over splits, but it is way deeper than that. The super agents know the real battle is over how you define the money in the first place. Listen to the harsh, mathematical truth about the gap between the billionaires and the players, and why the agents know the union is walking into a trap. Here is the headline. The league wants to give players 70% of net revenue. That is money after expenses. The players, meanwhile, want 27.5% of gross revenue. To a rookie, getting 70% of the pot sounds generous, maybe even too good to be true. But in the cutthroat world of finance, net revenue is a Trojan horse. It is a masterclass in Hollywood accounting. Gross revenue is every single dime that hits the register. Broadcast rights, stadium tickets, jersey sales, and massive corporate sponsorships. That is the pot of gold before a single bill is paid. Net revenue, however, is merely the scraps left over after the billionaire bosses subtract every possible cost of doing business. And here is the dark art of owning a professional sports team. You can legally massage the ledger until that profit column shows a perfect, round zero. These owners can pump up executive paychecks to absurd levels. They can bill themselves a fortune just to rent their own stadiums. They can bury money in marketing black holes and claim their assets are losing value faster than ice in a desert. By the time these financial wizards are done, that $2 billion broadcast fortune simply evaporates into the ether. So when they offer players 70% of the net, They are generously offering them 70% of squat. The union leadership spotted this shell game immediately. They drew a line in the sand, demanding a cut of the gross revenue to ensure they capture the cash flood Caitlin Clark is bringing to the table. However, the power brokers behind the scenes see a nightmare scenario the union ignores. There is no universe where these owners hand over 27% of the raw intake. They would padlock the arenas and torch the entire season before letting the workforce touch their absolute bottom line. You want evidence? Just look at the chasm between the salary cap numbers currently on the table. That cap number isn't just math. It represents the absolute maximum cash the owners will tolerate parting with. The gap between the two sides is so wide it is actually terrifying. It proves that the agents are the only ones reading the room, while everyone else is living in a fantasy. Check the stats for the very first year of the proposed deal. The players are dreaming of $9.5 million, while the league is stuck at $5.6 to $5 million. Think about that. The talent wants a $9.5 million ceiling. The suits are digging their heels in at $5.6 to $5 million. That is a $4 million canyon per team, with the deadline ticking down and the parties miles apart in valuation. It signals a complete collapse of diplomatic talks. The union is shouting into a void, and the owners are just checking the time, waiting for the players' bank accounts to run dry. The super agents stared at that $4 million discrepancy. They saw the union's hardline stance and knew a lockout wasn't just possible, it was guaranteed, unless they took control. Which leads us to the ugly truth fueling this boardroom rebellion. Pundits like to wax poetic about fairness and the cultural growth of the women's game. But the agents are operating on pure, ruthless greed, protecting their own paychecks. Here is the cold, hard reality of why these power players are turning on the union to force a bad deal. If this deal falls apart, everyone bleeds. These agents are firing off angry letters for one simple reason. They need their cut. Agents pocket anywhere from 2 to 3% of every dollar their clients sign for. And that is the crux of the drama, because the union told everyone to sign short deals to time it with this fight. Now, over 80% of the entire WNBA roster is sitting there as free agents. That means 4 out of 5 players are currently unemployed on paper. If you represent 10 superstars and none of them have a deal, your agency is making exactly $0 from basketball. You are burning cash, running the business, booking flights, and handling press. But the commission checks have completely dried up. They know if March 10th comes and goes with no ink on the paper, the owners shut it all down. The expansion drafts for Toronto and Portland? Gone. The rookie draft gets shelved, and free agency freezes solid. Agents can't afford to watch the union play chicken with billionaires who have infinite money. They are hijacking the process because they need pens on paper immediately to secure their 3% slice of the pie. The agents are ready to strong-arm the players into swallowing the owner's tight-fisted salary cap of $5.65 million. Why? Because securing 3% of a flawed deal beats getting 3% of a canceled season every single time. This whole showdown tears the mask right off the WNBA Players Association's grand plan, revealing a nasty double standard. For the last 12 months, the old guard at the union has been desperately trying to turn the Caitlin Clark phenomenon into a loaded weapon. They aimed to leverage the exploding ratings and sold-out crowds from the rookie class to bully the owners into surrendering a historic slice of the revenue pie. They planned to use Clark as a battering ram to smash the owner's vault wide open, but then Clark's team, along with the reps for Angel Reese and Aja Wilson, basically pulled the pin on the union's grenade. The power brokers, representing the sport's biggest rainmakers, stared down the union bosses and effectively declared, "You will not exploit our client's massive stardom to drag this entire league into a strike with no war chest to fund it. Our stars have multi-million-dollar side hustles that depend on them actually playing basketball on national TV. We refuse to let you torpedo the biggest boom in women's sports history just because your pride won't let you take a realistic deal." The deadline on March 10th is the ultimate pressure cooker for the league. The owners are holding the line with the cold, hard discipline of Wall Street sharks. Meanwhile, union leadership is bleeding credibility with their own rank-and-file members by the minute. And now, the super agents have officially gone rogue, staging a hostile takeover to ensure pens hit paper and commission checks clear the bank. The union walked in with the swagger of a heavyweight champ, thinking they ran the show. But they completely ignored the cardinal rule of the game. Billionaires might sign the paychecks, but the agents make sure the ink actually dries. So, I want your raw, no-holds-barred take on this corporate intervention. Are these elite agents pulling off a genius 4D chess move to save the season from incompetent leaders? Or are they just vultures selling out the talent to protect their own bag? And let's get real. Do you think the owner's offer of 70% net revenue is just smoke and mirrors designed to steal the profits Caitlin Clark created? Blow up the comments section right now with your brutal, unfiltered analysis. If you want the cold, hard truth about the business, the strategy, and the ruthless politics behind pro sports, destroy that subscribe button, wreck the like button, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a beat. We don't do sugar-coated fluff here. We track the leverage. We chase the money. And we expose the terrifying financial reality they hide at press conferences. Catch you in the next deep dive.